Well, hello everyone. My name is Iris and I'm the marketing coordinator at Barcoding and Barcoding Canada. So welcome to our hangout where we're going to talk about all things IntelliTrack, but specifically the exciting new patch notes that we have for you and what you as an IntelliTrack user can expect in the future from us as well. If you're not currently an IntelliTrack user but are looking to find a better way to track, then hey, listen, you're still in the right place. Now, I'm not the star of the show, as you can see. Our principal software engineer, Jack Nosik, will be doing his magic as the main character of the show. During this time, you will be muted, but feel free to leave your questions in the chat box. We will also unmute you toward the end for a live. Jack, go ahead and work your magic.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. So I am going to walk through, this is the first of our live webinars for the quarterly releases of IntelliTrack. I have a couple things I want to show you today on the website and the mobile client that we are releasing this quarter. I'm going to walk you through those. Again, if you have any questions, send it to Iris. She will pause me and ask them if they are relevant, or if not, we can hold them till the end. So let's get started. All right, so right off the bat, I want to go over a few of the general platform enhancements that we're releasing this quarter. And in fact, on this screen, you'll see the first one, which is in-app announcements. So if you haven't already today, we just released this announcement that when you log into IntelliTrack, you're going to see a link to the latest release notes. We're going to use this banner bar here for doing release note releases, important information, scheduled downtimes, all that good platform service information you now will find posted in the in-app announcements on the web page only for now. Another really nice enhancement that we spent a lot of time working on for Q1 is the asset page search performance. Specifically, if you had tens of thousands of assets, I know some customers were seeing some slow performance in going through this table. We spent a lot of time looking at the data, looking at the query performance, and tuning this page to make it really light and fast. Our test tenant, not a great example, only 110 assets in here, but if you have 30, 40, 60,000 assets, this page will be lightning quick for either full text searches or any filters that you apply. So just for example, if I look at printer, it should be relatively fast, but it's going to be just as fast if you had, say, 75,000 assets. Another really nice feature, especially if you are a user that's going to be do a lot of data entry, for example, maybe entering assets by hand in multiples at a time versus direct importing, is we've modified the save behavior for adding an asset. If you'll notice that on an asset page now, when you can fill out this information and save it, there's a drop down here next to save. You can actually change the behavior. You have three options. You have regular save, that will save and add your asset and take you to the asset detail page to see information about it. You can choose to save and new, which will save the asset, but take you right back to this page and allow you to enter information for a second asset. Or if you're really data entry heavy, you can do save and clone, which will save this asset and then persist all non-unique values. So things like condition, status, location, site, item, allowing you basically to quickly enter either asset and serial number and then move on to your next item. So if you're very data entry heavy on this page, these features are going to be really nice. So even when you do save and clone, it will stay in that mode until you decide to change back to another save mode. Right now, this feature is available for assets and for consumable inventory orders. But keep an eye out throughout Q2. We're going to be adding this feature to more and more pages, probably specifically in the management section, where you'll need to be adding different kinds of records over and over and over again. Speaking of management, we've enhanced the license management portion of IntelliTrack. So we've given you a nice license dashboard now under users, where before you could take a user, you could assign a license. Under licenses, you can see each of the bundles that you have available in your tenant, the count of licenses that you have left remaining, what's been assigned in a bar format, so you can see how many are left, and then the renewal date for each individual license. From here, you can then dive down into a license and actually see who has it been assigned to. You can remove people specifically from a license working from the license perspective instead of a user's perspective. If I were to go back and look under another type of license, say consumable inventory, you'll see sort of the same representation of data. So this should make license management, especially on tenants with a large amount of users, much easier to maintain and get a view of how many licenses do you have left, what is the spread of users to each license, and how can you clean them up more efficiently to make use of the licenses that you've purchased. And finally, for general platform enhancements, under users under management, you now see a new setting called app credentials. And app credentials are mainly for API usage, where either a third-party integrator or yourself are integrating other software to communicate with IntelliTrack. Before, if you were part of the early adopter program, you had to use a specific user set of credentials to authorize your integrated app. But now you can create specific credentials just for applications. So for example, I could say, I need an app credential for my integration. You can give it an expiration. Typically, best security practices, you need to rotate these app credentials for a set fixed amount of time. So you can set the expiration for those. And then each app credential will need to consume a license, just as if it was a user. So perhaps my integration uses fixed assets. You'll then get an ID for this credential, a client secret that will only show you at this one time. After this, you will no longer, so you have to save this value, no longer be able to get to this value. It's going to be kept secret for the rest of its lifetime. And then its expiration. So now I have an app credential that I can use for API access that won't take up a user account, will be kept more securely, and has a set expiration that you need to manage. You can additionally assign which permissions this credential needs. This one right now is starting off with no permissions, but specifically you can give it the permissions that it needs. So for example, maybe I need some item credentials. I need to read assets and read asset statuses. And I'll give those permissions to this credential. And now whatever app or integration I'm using to communicate to the IntelliTrack APIs will be restricted to that permission set using this app credential. So those are the general platform enhancements that were coming out for Q1. There's a whole bunch of others, but these are the big ones I wanted to highlight. So moving on to specific bundle features, however, we have a bunch of new reports and features for the different bundle sets. And I'm going to start by looking at the IT asset bundle. There is a new asset movement report. So if I go to Insights and Asset Movement, I can look at what assets have moved from locations within a set time period. So if I were to say do a look back of 7 days, I can see a bunch of assets that were moved from one site or location to another. And this will keep rolling, and you can look back as much as 1 year if you need to. And looking at this report, these are all new assets, right? They came from nowhere, but were created into the barcoding site in the default location. So this is a good transaction history of how your assets are moving either day to day or hour to hour, depending on how often you look at this data. Additionally, in the IT asset bundle, we've added some enhanced integration with Honeywell Operational Intelligence. So any location changes now, if your tenant is tied to Honeywell Op Intel, any location changes made for assets will now be pushed to Op Intel in real time. Before, this was a nightly sync process, which worked good enough, but of course, in certain situations, that wasn't good enough information for Honeywell Op Intel to use. So now this is going to occur basically near real time. If an asset is moved from one location to another, that change will be pushed and reflected in Honeywell Op Intel. And if you are a fan of dashboards for the IT asset bundle, we now have added a KPI for last connected. And that is a reflection on any sort of MDM integration that you have. This will show buckets. Let me see, right down here, this is the KPI. So this is last connected assets. So this will show buckets in 7 days, 8 to 14, 15 to 30, or over 30 days. So how many of your assets connected to your assigned MDM solution have connected? So this is represented in a pie graph. Of course, if you use dashboards, you can represent it any way you want, but this is a really, really nice new functional KPI that we've added for IT assets. Taking a look at rotational assets, if we go to checkout, So say I want to check out an asset. There's a new type ahead search feature that we've enabled. Before, assignee, you either had to know the assignee's number, or you were perhaps scanning a number using the keyboard wedge scanner, or know their name to type it. If you need more of a general search for checking out, you can now enable type ahead search, which will allow you to start typing in a user's name and see who that possibly could match to and pick them from a list. I'll put myself in, find me. This one, well, I can type in just a part of their asset number or their user number, I'm sorry, and it'll filter on all those values and provide you a nice drop down you can pick them from. So this really helps if you are, doing this in a non-scanning environment and you need to find an assignee and quickly assign them for a checkout operation. And additionally, for checking out, we've added a change to a report, or I should say an enhancement to a report. If we go to the checkout asset report, by default, this looks like it did in the past. So we have asset number, serial number, item number, and who it's currently assigned to. And in some cases, perhaps you need to print this sheet out because you need to do a reconciliation, or you want to go around, make sure that these assets are checked back in by a certain time. So you need a physical copy with you. If you actually print this report now, it will generate the asset barcodes for you, which is a map of the serial number for every record. So if you're really doing this manual reconciliation and you want to go around with a paper copy that you can scan from the mobile device to conduct the checkout operation from there, or perhaps another system that needs to scan the barcode to look at the serial number of the device, on the printed report, we now render that barcode of the serial number for you. So it's a nice little enhancement for certain workflows that our customers may be doing. For the fixed assets bundle, we have a new enhancement to a report, the asset by site location report, which you'll find right here. So this report too looks like a standard table report. This looks like any other report that we have in the system showing our columns and our dates, but it actually has a very special printed view that will do site and location grouping as well as summation of purchase costs. So this is a good financial report that might be needed for the estimated cost of the assets that you've filtered it to. So if I print this report, it now no longer actually looks like a table. It's actually divided by site and location groupings. And at the end of every grouping, there is a location subtotal that's generated, as well as a grand total for the entire report. So we're starting to get into this behavior of taking our HTML tables and grouping and rendering them in a printable format, or a more important report format that might be needed for other parties that need this data out of IntelliTrack. And this is just the first of an example of other formats that we're moving towards for this behavior. And finally, for the consumable inventory bundle, there's another report that's been modified to add barcodes. This is the consumer order report. So if I go to consumer orders, again, same straight tables before. I can search, I can filter, I can remove columns. But if I decide to print this report, I'm going to render the barcodes of the item number. So if this report or order needs to be given to someone who's processing orders, needs to scan the barcode of the item, this is an easily printable format that can now be generated.
Just to quickly interrupt you, Jack, I have a
Yes,
question.
sure.
So they are asking, can the reports be downloaded?
Yes, they can. So especially if you use Chrome or any modern browser, the most default method is to say print a PDF. Your local browser will turn this into a PDF for you, and you can save it to anywhere and send it to anyone. Additionally, if you need this data in, say, an Excel or CSV format, you can export here to CSV. Any table in IntelliTrack has this feature to download the data into a CSV file for further manipulation, or perhaps matching up with other data in a pivot chart, or however you need to use it in Excel. Any other questions, Iris?
No, thank you, Jack.
Okay. So that was the consumable report. So those are some of the major report and feature enhancements. There's a bunch of other little things. I recommend looking at the release notes as you log into IntelliTrack and see that link in the home notification here. But another really important thing I want to show is actually the enhancements that we've made to the mobile client. Mobile client UI, user experience and design has been pretty heavily overhauled. I'm going to show you some of the nice features that we've added, what the new look looks like. So let me switch over to my mobile device I have here. All right, so let me know when you can see that.
Looks good, Jack.
Okay, so upon logging into the IntelliTrack mobile client, you now are greeted with a very concise and grouped navigation menu. Before you had to dive into each item to see what was underneath it, but now these are all expandable. All options for navigating are available right from the start. And this is a huge feature performance. It's much easier for users to see and use what they need to get into instead of having to dive into a nested group of menus. So this is probably the biggest thing any users of the mobile client are going to see right off the start is the reorganized navigation menu. Additionally, right from the top of the screen too, if you are working in multiple sites for your tenant, you have the ability to switch sites right from the top of the screen. You don't have to dig into settings or open up the side menu to change your site. You can instantly just click on the site, search and find the one you need, and change it for whatever operation you need to conduct. Additionally, the colors have all been rethemed to match the IntelliTrack UI colors that you see on the website. And so have the icons. So if I perhaps, let's do a checkout operation. I'll pick an assignee right off from the start. So now all of the icons have been reconfigured, made a little more user-friendly, smaller, especially for the lock features. If I need to say check out multiple things for an order to Martin, I can lock his name in place. This will stay permanent as I continue to scan the rest of these items. If I need to auto-generate an order and I'm going to keep scanning out assets for this order, I can lock that as well. And then I continue to scan assets to complete my checkout operation. These are all new icons. These are all new redesigned workflows that should make the entire mobile experience easier and more user-friendly. Let's go to another example. Let's take a look at View. View is a nice feature, right? This basically gives you a lot of the lookup information and tools that you see on the on the web side, now on the mobile side. So you can search by location. I can say default, and it will give me all of my assets in the default location. Or I can switch to search by item. Starts with TC5. And we'll see all these items. Or I think I can even say printer. No printers right now. And from here too, I can as well change the site to look at other assets in other sites. And finally, it's hard to demo here because of you can't see me scanning things. But what has been improved is focus management on a lot of these workflows and pages. So say you're doing inventory or check-in, the app will more smartly, as you scan and complete a field, move to the next field for you, requiring less keyboard taps, less user input, and allow you to scan and scan and scan to fill out a workflow or task. The entire engine that drives focus management has been improved for each workflow that we've put into the mobile client. And I think once users get this into their hands, they're going to see these performance enhancements and really enjoy the user experience that we've upgraded for the mobile client. This mobile client got pushed out yesterday. So if you are downloading the app from the Google Play Store, it's already up there and ready for you to try. If your mobile device has not picked it up, you could force an update from the Google Play Store. I recommend you log in today and try out all of the new user experience in the mobile client. And that wraps up the big new features for Q1, Iris.
That's great. Thank you, Jack. So I just want to ask, what can we expect now? I know, we just did this and these just came out, guys. I know, but what can we expect for the next patch, or what's coming next that you're really excited about for IntelliTrack?
So at a high level, right? One thing I mentioned, right, is that the new save behavior, we're going to start looking at screens that would benefit from that as well and continue to push that feature out. We're focusing on a lot of I can't give specifics, but integrations with other third-party tools and APIs. Um, if you are interested in integrating into IntelliTrack as well, the API gateway and app credentials are going to be more greatly improved. We're putting out more documentation, I hope hopefully soon, on integrating into IntelliTrack. So that should be a really nice Q2 feature that some users who are already taking advantage of will get a better experience with.
Awesome, thank you. And like I said, if you're not currently in IntelliTrack, but this this is something that piqued your interest or you're looking for a better way to track, be sure to get in contact with us. We're always here to help Jack, myself. Anytime you email info@barcoding.com, it'll reach one of us. I think you did a really good job. Or everybody's shy.
I see everyone's still muted. Did they get unmuted? Maybe no one wants to unmute.
Yeah, nobody wants to mute. They do have
Okay.
they are able to, so awesome. So like I said, the IntelliTrack website is linked below, info@barcoding.com if you want to take your questions offline. And we will see you for the next one.